15 months of inventory. Sales are down almost 18% year over year, and more condos expired last month than we have seen in years. But somehow, prices went up. So what is really going on in the Miami condo market? Let's unpack the numbers. Hey, I'm Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty, your Miami real estate agent, and this is your Miami condo market update for June 2025. We've got high inventory, tons of expired listings, and slower sales, but median prices are just somehow still rising. Are we in a rare moment of buyer opportunity or just a confusing, oversupplied market that has not corrected yet? Let's break it all down together. And if you're thinking about buying or selling a condo here in Miami, all of my info is in the description down below, including a link to book a free consultation with me. So let's go ahead and dive on in. Sales are down again. Let's check it out. June saw 965 condo sales. That's the green line there, which you can see went down. It's 79 fewer sales than in May, the month before. That's a 7.6% month over month decline, okay? So compared to last June in 2024's 1,173 sales, that's gonna be right over Schmal, that's a 17.7% drop year over year, 208 fewer closings. So, if you're a real estate agent watching this and you thought last June was slow, especially for a summer month, well, get a load of this, most recent June, even slower, right? Now flip that with time on the market. Average days on market, that's the blue line there. Average days on market fell slightly in June to 130 days, down from 135 in May. Very, negligible difference there. But last June's days on market was just 107 days. So that's a 21.5% slowdown year over year. That's a tremendous slowdown in the days on market, okay? So, properties, condos sitting on the market a lot longer. So even though sales are falling, homes are just sitting longer than they were a year ago. That tells you that buyer activity isn't just low, it's dragging out, okay? So next up, let's look at active inventory here. Make that chart a little bigger for y'all. Active inventory dipped slightly to 14,429 units, down 167 from May's 14,596. That's a 1.1% decrease, but don't let that drop fool you. We have not seen this much inventory, get this, since January of 2001 over here. So looking at that green line, we're back up to where we were in January of 2021, and we're still sitting 31% higher than this time last year, which if we look at over here, 31% higher than June of 2024, when there was actually 11,016 active listings. So, a few thousand more listings on the market now than this time last year. And that inventory surge is directly impacting months of inventory. That's the blue line there, which, by the way, I switched up our data pairs on the condo updates for Miami-Dade and for Broward for this month. So if you see the single family home updates for Miami-Dade and Broward, you'll see their different pairings. The reason I did that was just kind of have some fun because I'm a real estate nerd, but also I felt that it was interesting. It shows a different story, between the data. It tells a little bit more of the story between supply and demand. So hopefully you guys will notice that. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, okay? So the inventory surge that we saw in the green line here had a big impact on months of inventory. As you can see here, rose to 15 months of inventory. That's that blue line there again. 15 months of inventory in June. That's up from 14 months of inventory in May, and it's way up from 9 months of inventory last June over here, okay? So that's a 66.7% year over year increase. And just to put that into perspective, 15 months of inventory is deep buyer's market territory, okay? Properties are piling up faster than they're selling. They're piling up like lemmings on a cliff or something. I don't know if you guys ever played that game back in the day, but they're piling up is the point, okay? And in June, sellers were actually getting less further away from their original asking prices than compared to what they actually ended up selling for. Looking at that here in this graph, the closed price to original price ratio, that's that green line you can see is just absolutely tanking into the basement of real estate. No pun intended. Well, we don't really have not very many basements here in South Florida, but if there were a basement, that's where the closed price to original price ratio is tanking, which is a bad thing for sellers. Okay, all that basically means is, think of it this way: if a home was listed for $100,000 and it sold for $100,000, that's 100% closed price to original price ratio. If it sold for $90,000, that's a 90% closed price to original price ratio. So it's a ratio of the average across the market of what sellers are getting for their sale price versus what they originally listed for. Okay, so that number dropped to 92.9%, down 0.4% from May, and last year this time 95%. Okay, so if we go over here, we see June 95% last year. That's a 2.1% gap year over year. And honestly, it's no surprise because when we look at our expired listings here in the blue line, we actually see we had a massive 2,727 expired listings in June of this year, which was 288 more than May's about 2,400 expired listings. That's an 11.8% increase in just 1 month of expired listings, okay? Which is like a lot for 1 month. Compared to last June's 2,350, we're up 16% year over year. If we look at that number over here, that was about 2,350 right there. So that's 16% increase from there to there, as you can see. So not only are sellers missing the mark with their sale prices or their list prices for their condos, they're also just running out of time. They're not getting those units sold before they expire or before they decide to take them off the market for whatever reason. So looking up at new listings next, and then median sale price, new listings dropped to 2,436 in June. That's down 7.9% from May's 2,646. Okay, so slightly less new listings. A good bit less, 7.9% less from May to June, as you can see in the green line there. But compared to last June's 2,522 new listings, we're only down about 3.4%. Okay, so they're kind of, staggering around in that range of low 2,000s to low 3,000s generally. Okay, in terms of the new listings in our green line there. Okay, but here's the curveball. Okay, this is the real curveball. Prices went up. Okay, so despite slower sales, more expireds, deep buyer market conditions, the median sale price climbed 3.1%. As you can see in the blue line there, that little tick mark up, that's a 3.1% increase, ladies and gentlemen, that happened from May to June. So it went from $431,000 median sale price to $445,000 median sale price. And, we always use median sale price. I love this soapbox. I love getting on this soapbox. I'll try not to spend too much time on it. But when you see people talking about real estate agents especially, and they talk about average sale price, just don't listen to anything else that they say, because we don't use averages to get an idea of what's happening with prices in the market, because we have listings that sell for $40 and $50 million. So if you use average, then that way skews it higher, and using median is a much better judge of what's really going on in the market. Okay, so from $431,000 to $445,000 right here, that is a 3.1% increase, but we had a 5.6% increase from last June. Okay, so from last June, we were at $420,000 versus now we're at $445,000. So you can see trend line overall, prices going up somehow in the condo market year over year. But let's be real about it and zoom out. And what you'll see is we've sort of been hovering in this 430 to 450 range over the last year, basically, or at least all year since January. In this period of time, we've been hovering in that range. Okay, so while prices technically are up month over month, it's more of a flat trend line throughout 2025 at least than a breakout, prices are going up again. Okay, so what do we take away from all of this? Okay, so buyers you've really, really got the upper hand with 15 months of inventory. That is a lot of months of inventory. There's heavy price reductions happening. I don't think I've ever gotten more emails and texts and phone calls. And I mean, literally agents will call me to tell me that their price of their listing has decreased and do I know anybody who wants to buy it. I've gotten more of those reach outs from other agents in the last couple months than I've gotten in all of my years, 7 years in real estate. So that's saying a lot, okay? So, heavy price reductions and more sellers missing the mark than we've seen in years, as evidenced by that, close price to original price ratio graph that we looked at where, basically, if we bring that up again, you can see that, that green line there, that thing is lower. I think it's actually lower than it was here in 2020, right? So we're like, sellers are further away from what their list prices are, to sale prices than they've been in 5 years, okay? But still, prices haven't collapsed, okay? So if you're waiting for a free fall, don't hold your breath. The smart move is to find the listings that are sitting too long, negotiate like a boss with yours truly, and we make your move, while leverage is still on your side, okay? Because as soon as interest rates go up, which we're expecting to potentially have 2 interest rates this year, at least that's what the Fed's saying, but then they're like, tariffs and all of this stuff, right? So they're worried about inflation again, but if they start to feel like inflation isn't as big of a deal, then we'll potentially see a couple rate cuts this year. And as soon as those rate cuts start happening and it's in the headlines and everybody's like, oh, rate cuts, now's the time to get back in, it's already going to be too late in terms of having ceded a little bit of leverage, okay? So if you're a buyer, leverage is on your side right now. Use it to your advantage. I can personally tell you in the last year or so, pretty much every deal that I've done working with a buyer has been at below list price, okay? So sellers, this market is brutal. There's no way to sugarcoat it or make it sound better. If you overprice or undermarket, you're going to be sitting on the market for a while. Strategy is just not optional anymore. It is a matter of survival, okay? So if you want to help, if you want me to help you out with, making the right move, no pun intended, book a free consultation with me. Down below in the description, all my contact info is down there. Also my Calendly link, so you can book a consultation at a time that's convenient for you, whether you're looking to buy, to sell, or if you're just watching the market or you're sort of planning for the future. I'll help you make sense of it all. We'll go over your specific situation so that you can make the most informed decision for yourself and for your family. Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty, your Miami real estate agent, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.